So are you confused by what hypertrophic rep ranges are? Do you not fully understand how to increase strength and increase size? Maybe you're confused because everybody will sit here and say, hey, let's get bigger, but you're not going to get stronger. If that's you, stay tuned. We're going to dive deep into one of the most important aspects behind muscular hypertrophy. What's up, everybody? I'm Dane from Garage Strength, and I want to go over one of the most important physiological aspects behind strength training and strength development, and that is myofibrillar hypertrophy. So one of the misconceptions that everybody has is that there's the hypertrophic range of strength training, which would be 8 to 20 reps, and that's something that I outline in our sarcoplasmic hypertrophy video that you can click down below. And what the big thing is that people are confused, that they think that you can only achieve muscular size through sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, and you can't actually increase size if you're doing less rep ranges, and that's false. Okay, so what we're going to dive into is what is myofibrillar hypertrophy. Now, is it harder to get bigger doing myofibrillar hypertrophy? Yes, it's harder to get bigger, but you will get significantly stronger, and over long periods of time you will develop a physique that it has that dense muscle look that you see in gymnastics, that you see in gymnasts, that you see in Olympic weightlifters, and even some lower body weight powerlifters. So what is myofibrillar hypertrophy? So myofibrillar hypertrophy is essentially based around the increase of strength. And if we can refer back to our satellite cell video that you can click on down below here, if you refer back to that, if we can think of a muscle fiber being a longer muscle fiber here, what ends up happening is that as we go through a long eccentric movement, so let's pretend that we're doing a back squat and we got hundreds of muscles that are going to be used while doing that back squat. And we're going to do a slow eccentric. During that eccentric portion of the lift, the muscles become lengthened, and what ends up happening is a tremendous amount of stress is placed on the muscle, and then the muscle ends up being damaged, it breaks down, and we recruit our satellite cells to come in and actually renovate those muscle fibers, or the myofibrils, which then leads to increase in strength. And the reason being is that myofibrils contain sarcomeres. So sarcomeres are extremely important in improving and enhancing that, or they're extremely responsible for having that potency and the strength in the muscular contraction. So again, the satellite cells renovate and they increase muscle fibers after a lengthening period, but through, let's use that squat and deadlift, maybe even a bench press. We're doing a slow bench press, 6 to 7 reps, and while we're doing that eccentric portion of the lift, maybe we're only doing a set of 2, but we're going to do 8 sets of 2. That eccentric portion of the lift, our myofibers are going to be damaged. We're going to recruit satellite cells, and we're going to increase the density of that myofiber. So right here we can see a basis of the demonstration that goes on with myofibrillar hypertrophy, which leads to this increase in the cross-sectional area. So if this is a cross-sectional area of a muscle, we've got our myofibers in here, and we can see that the myofibers are going to add in parallel here versus this muscle fiber that has not undergone myofibrillar hypertrophy. So there's more myofibers, which leads to an increase in strength and increase in muscular density. And even in some cases, we might even see an addition of sarcomeres at the end of muscle fibers, something that might happen with long jumpers or high jumpers. That's what ends up their adaptation to the stress that they're going through when it's involved in plyometric movements. They can end up adding sarcomeres at the end of their muscle fibers, which also dramatically improves their ability to put out power. So when does this happen? Again, going back over this, myofibrillar hypertrophy occurs through long ranges of motion. So think about a high bar back squat, squatting all the way through that long range of motion. And that long range of motion during the eccentric portion, that's when muscular damage is going to occur. That's when damage to the myofibers occurs. And if we're doing sets of 2 to 5 reps, now all of a sudden during that period, we're going to have satellite cell activation. the satellite cells will proliferate. They're going to come in, they're going to donate their myonuclei to the myofibers, which is going to then increase the myofibers and the sarcomeres, which will lead to greater strength during contraction. Here we go, accumulation of myofibers. One of the big keys here is that we need to make sure that we have more, that protein synthesis is occurring, so we need to make sure that we're having enough protein inside of our bodies so that we can recover the actin, myosin, tintin, and so that these active amino acids can repair and can be used and utilized by the satellite cells to renovate the myofibers. And we need to make sure that inside of our bloodstream that we have enough protein, and that's where making sure that we're on point with our nutrition is very, very key to constantly improving our myofibrillar hypertrophy. And if you want to have more information on that, you can click on the video down below that goes in deep depth on what that nutritional aspect is and how you can improve your nutrition so that you can lead to more myofibrillar hypertrophy over time. So those amino acids are going to be used to increase the damaged fibers, and that's something that we can see. Think about the look that you might see in gymnasts, where they're very, very lean and very densely packed in and shredded. They might not be these big hulking bodybuilder type bodies, but they are very muscular still, and it's something that you will see in many lighter weight Olympic weightlifters, or even power lifters. And then oftentimes we do need to focus on myofibrillar hypertrophy if we're working with football players, wrestlers, and even shot putters to a point, because they need to have a drastic amount of strength levels. And if we can increase their myofibrillar hypertrophy, they're going to be able to put out more power in a shorter period of time without as much wasted muscle mass that you might get from somebody who's constantly training in sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. Now, it's still important that you, if you're a football player or you're or a wrestler or a shot putter, that you still train in those sarcoplasmic ranges, but you have to spend most of your time inside the myofibrillar hypertrophy ranges. So that's myofibrillar hypertrophy. It's all about increasing muscular density and increasing that cross-sectional area so that we can improve the contraction, which improve the strength of the contraction in the muscle fibers so that we can constantly lead to big strength gains, and that's going to increase that muscular density. If you like this information, head over to garagestrength.com, check out our blogs. You can have more information on the physiology behind training and how you can constantly make these developments and try to improve your strength training experience.